In this video, I'm going to give you 5 reasons on why you should be using an external monitor for your video work. And we're also going to be looking at the new Viltrox DC-550 Pro that I've been using the past month, look at some of its main features, and showcase why this, an external monitor, can help you shoot better videos at an affordable price. So let's get into it right now. Whoopsh. So full disclosure, Viltrox did send me this monitor free of charge, but everything I'm about to showcase about this monitor in this video are just my real world thoughts and experience on using this monitor for the past month. So reason number 1 is you can get better composed shots. Immediately the first thing I noticed when I unboxed this monitor and set it up on my camera and ran outside to take some test shots, I found myself composing differently, much differently than I normally do when I'm just looking at my camera and the little LCD screen on it. I immediately noticed having a much larger, vibrant display of what I'm shooting made me compose my shots differently and, in my opinion, much better. And especially if you have your camera on a tripod, just made composing shots a lot easier and a lot more efficient, in my opinion, because sometimes it's really hard to just really fine-tune and build a scene based on a little 3-inch screen that you're looking at on your camera. So having that larger, more vibrant display of what you're shooting makes a big difference, especially for composing your shots. Reason number 2 is you can focus a lot better and a lot more accurately. If you've ever tried to nail a manual focus pull on your camera just looking at the little LCD screen, and even with all the new features that most mirrorless cameras have nowadays, like a focus guide or peaking, it's still really hard because it's just a tiny screen. So having a bigger screen with built-in focus features makes it so much easier to ensure that your shot is in focus, whether you're doing focus pulls or even if you're using autofocus as well. Because even though you're using autofocus like I am right now on my Canon R6 Mark II, it's really hard for me to tell. I'm just kind of relying on the camera that I'm in focus. I'm just hoping it's working out. And especially the past month for all the videos that I've filmed, whether it's video production work or videos like this in my studio, having that monitor to make sure that my focus is tack sharp has been a game changer. Reason number 3, and it's a big one, is you can expose so much more accurately than you can on your camera screen. Trying to nail exposure on your little flip screen can be very difficult, and there's nothing worse than coming back into editing with either overexposed or underexposed footage that just can ruin your shot. Having a bigger and more accurate display of your camera's little screen makes a world of difference when it comes to exposing your shots properly. And especially on Canon cameras. I use a Canon R6 Mark II, before that the Canon R6, and now shooting in their log profiles, which is great and so flexible in editing, it is still super hard to nail exposure accurately just using the camera's LCD screen. Especially because on these cameras, their preview LUT for seeing accurate colors over the log profile is not very accurate whatsoever. So using this monitor to make sure that my exposure is tack sharp has made a world of difference. And along with seeing a more accurate representation of your shot, you have built-in features like waveform, which is what I use in editing to make sure that my shot is properly exposed. Now being in the field, having the same exposure controls that I have in editing makes it so much easier to compose my shot, make sure my shot is in focus, and exposed properly. And if you're getting value out of this video, you should really think about joining my community. I started a community for new photographers, videographers, especially in the real estate space, that are looking to grow their businesses. For simply $5 a month, you can join a growing community that has over 75 members. That's crazy. I can't believe I started this earlier this year and we already have 75 members in there. That's absolutely crazy. So many people are commenting and getting so much info in the Discord group, loving the behind the scenes video that I post from actual jobs on a monthly basis that's only exclusive to these members, and you get a digital welcome pack that has some updated presets that I use for photo editing, some LUTs that I use, and some other assets as well. So if you're interested, check out the link in the description below. Reason number 4 is you can load custom LUTs onto an external monitor, and on the Viltrox DC-550 Pro, they look great, and that is a really big deal. Like I just mentioned, Canon's preview LUT on their mirrorless cameras are not very accurate or very good whatsoever. If I simply expose based on what I'm seeing on the LCD screen, it's not a good idea, and 9 times out of 10, it's probably going to be underexposed, because whenever I properly expose on this camera, which is about 1 stop over for C-Log 3, it looks totally blown out on the LCD screen. But that's how I get a really accurate shot when I bring it into editing. So now using an external monitor, loading the LUTs that I use in editing, and being able to preview and monitor my shot that way has made a huge difference. For example, the shot that I'm using right now in most of my video production work, I grade using Phantom LUTs. If you haven't heard of Phantom LUTs, they are incredible. I love using Phantom LUTs because they replicate that Rec 709 look from RE cameras, and it looks so good, way better than Canon's conversion LUTs. So now I can use those, put those on the monitor, and I can see a much more accurate representation exposure-wise and what my final shot might look like in editing. So if you're interested in checking out Phantom LUTs, there's a link in the description. Trust me, you won't be disappointed using those, especially the fact that they're camera specific. They're not just LUTs that may or may not work with your camera. They have LUTs for Canon, Sony, and much more. So make sure to check them out in the link below. And I also love the fact that the Viltrox DC-550 Pro has built-in LUTs already. They have conversion LUTs for C-Log2, S-Log3, V-Log, and F-Log. So all the major log conversions from major camera brands are already built in there, ready to go. And even on my Canon R6 Mark II, using the C-Log2 LUT worked really well. Reason number 4 to use an external monitor is you can shoot better handheld footage. If you've ever tried to shoot handheld shots like you see in movies with your mirrorless or DSLR camera, it probably doesn't look the same, right? Probably looks really jittery and not just that really smooth handheld look that we see in films. One of the biggest reasons for that is when you're just shooting with your camera and your lens, it's a super light setup, so you get a ton of micro jitters. Even now with cameras that have IBIS like my camera, like on the R6 Mark II, it's still not the same type of handheld look that you see in films that just looks so much better versus just a smooth gimbal-like shot that you're trying to do. And that's because professional cinematographers and filmmakers are using really big, giant, built-out rigs that can give that really nice handheld look. So adding weight to your setup like this camera monitor will give you better shots, like all the reasons I mentioned before, but add more weight. Then you can add a shotgun microphone, a top handle, an external battery, anything else to add some more weight, and you're gonna get much closer to that handheld look you see in movies. And here's another pro tip: if you hold your camera with both hands and then bring it into your chest to get that third point of contact, you're gonna smooth out most of those micro jitters as well. And reason number 5 might be a little bit more biased for content creators, but you can film yourself so much easier. The fact that my entire time on YouTube, I've only made videos looking at these little flip screens, and I'm not really close to the camera right now. Right now, like, I can't even reach the camera. It's pretty far away. And like I mentioned earlier, I'm just relying on the fact that autofocus is tracking my face and everything is looking good. Hope it is. But now having a monitor that I can rig up much closer to me, for example, having it right under the camera, and I can accurately see a much more accurate and better display of my image, make sure that I'm focused right, my composition is good, has made making videos like this so much easier. So if you're looking to get started making videos like this, whether it's quick tutorials or anything like that, having an external monitor where you can monitor your image farther away from the camera and closer to you makes a huge difference, and it will give you less of a headache when you start making videos. And even if you don't film videos for yourself and you do video production work, having an external monitor and not trying to compose your entire scene on your little camera screen makes a big difference, and you look a lot more pro having a bigger display. And if you also don't make long form videos like I do here on YouTube, and you exclusively make or want to get started with vertical short form content, this monitor supports both horizontal and vertical orientation, so you can monitor your short form content just as easily. So I'm currently on location right now. We're gonna be shooting in this really cool studio, and I had the opportunity to test this out because I haven't gotten to use the monitor on an actual shoot, and this is a really nice space specifically made for photo video shoots, luxury property, so I thought this would be perfect to try it out while I'm still waiting for my clients. And using it with the R5C, haven't made a video on this yet, super excited on this edition to be filming stuff with, but we're here doing a content shoot, and I wanted to test out the monitor before we got started. I did some tests, I rigged it up on the gimbal. The only thing that's not working super great is this additional cable that I got by Condor Blue. It works great, but because this gap is a little big, I would have wanted to use a longer HDMI cable, so it's pulling it a little bit, but for example's sake, it's working great. But I just wanted to mention that having this monitor and this bigger screen has made a big difference on how I compose the shots or how I check exposure, especially with the exposure tools on the R5C or also in the monitor. So it's been really smooth, really easy, and it doesn't add too much weight. I'm using the battery it came with. All I would do next time is simply get a longer cable so it's not pulling on the camera a little bit. This is just a little tight, meant to be like a handheld rig. That's what I got it for. This setup right here, like this. Having that bigger screen makes a big difference on being able to see your focus, compose it better, exposure tools. So this might definitely be a really new, more handy setup for sure. So here's some of my favorite things that I love about the Viltrox DC-550 Pro after using it for the last month. The fact that it comes in this really heavy duty, nice case is super handy. I honestly didn't expect that. Then if we open it up, we have the camera monitor over here with a sunshade that acts as a cover itself, the battery it comes with, an adapter to hook it up to your camera, and your cables. This blue cable right here is from Condor Blue. I simply replaced it with a little bit stronger HDMI cable, and it's been working great, but it does come with a couple of HDMI cable options to fit your camera, so that's good. So I love the fact that it is a set that is ready for you to go, and I love the NPF battery that it comes with because it not only has a battery display right here, but you can also charge it USB-C, so that's really handy because we have hundreds of those lying around. Then it comes with your adapter to hook up to the top of your camera, which is really nice because it swivels and rotates. And lastly, the monitor itself that comes with this super nice sunshade and also acts as a case for the monitor itself. Ready for this? That's pretty nice. So here's the monitor with the sunshade to make it even that much easier to see your footage outside in super bright scenarios, even though it works just fine without this. But if you want to remove any of those glares and easily see what your image looks like tack sharp, this is a must. But then once you're done with it, simply fold that down and now your monitor is protected, whether you use it in this case or you just drop it in your bag. My next favorite thing about this monitor is that there's no learning curve to it whatsoever. Simply unboxed it, put the battery in, and I immediately found myself learning my way through it, no problem. So now, what about some drawbacks about using a monitor? One of the few drawbacks that I noticed once I started using this monitor for daily shoots and things like that over the past month is, of course, it is now another thing that you have to set up and another thing that you have to carry. So now you have to carry this case, an extra battery, an extra cable, spend some extra time setting it up for whatever shoot you're doing versus just whipping out your camera out of your bag, ready to go. So now you just have to think about, is it worth whatever you're gonna shoot to spend that extra time, add that extra weight to your kit? That might be a deal breaker for some because some shoots may not require something like that, but if you have the time and you're able to squeeze that into your kit, you're definitely not gonna be disappointed using an external monitor for your shoot. And the second thing might be that just it makes your setup bigger. Why that might be great for a handheld rig and that's what you really want, adding more weight and getting that bigger setup for smoother handheld shots. If you're using this on a gimbal with an already heavy camera setup, that might be a deal breaker as well because now you're adding extra weight, your back's gonna hurt more, and it's just more things to set up and hold while you're shooting. So that's pretty much it. Those are my 5 reasons on using an external monitor for video work. This is definitely gonna be something that's gonna be in my kit, but definitely depending on the type of shoot I do, because I feel like I can't see myself bringing this to every real estate video shoot, but when I do video production work, it's definitely gonna find its way into my kit for those. So if you're thinking about picking up a monitor, I strongly encourage it because I feel like it's just gonna advance you in video creating, filmmaking, whatever kind of road you're pursuing with video work. It's just gonna make you shoot differently, think about your shots more, and probably just advance in your career. And if you don't have certain features on your camera that you wish you did, like focus peaking, exposure controls, being able to monitor your own LUTs, instead of upgrading and spending thousands of dollars on that new camera, you can now just make a much smaller investment on that external monitor and get those features. So leave a like if you enjoyed, comment down your thoughts, and subscribe if you haven't already. I would love for you guys to be part of the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.